The last thing we're going to talk about today are polar arrays for 3D objects. So this can be very useful, especially if you're creating something like, for instance, a gear. So that's what I'm going to create here. I'm going to create a gear. So I'll start with a circle. I'll start at 0, 0, and I'll give it a radius of 5 inches. Zoom in on that guy. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a hole in the center of it, as most gears have. Give it a radius of 1 inch. So start at 0, 0, give it a radius of 1 inch, and press pull it up 3/4 of an inch. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create one tooth of the gear, and then I'm going to pull pattern it around this cylinder. So let's get started. Now because I use press pull, I still have the circle down low. It still exists, so I can draw my tooth coming from it. So I'll draw this to be 1 inch long this way. Let me hop into 2D wireframe so we can really see what I'm doing. So I just drew a line here that was 1 inch long. And then I'm going to draw a line this way, 1/2 inch. Oh, I think I did these wrong. Something must be off because that's not the right proportions. Let me hop into so I'm looking at the bottom of this. I'll draw a line 1 inch long, draw a perpendicular line 1/2 inch long. Okay, and then draw down like so, and then I'll mirror these two over to the other side. If you're copying this and your tooth is a little bit different, it's not a big deal. Just make sure that it extends all the way to the circle here. Now I can delete this guy. I don't need to draw the arc here at the bottom because that circle still exists, so I have a bounded area, and I can go ahead and press pull this area up 3/4 of an inch, so 0.75. Let's hop back into Conceptual so we can see what we have. Okay, we have one tooth of a gear. Obviously, if we were making a gear, you would want that to resemble more of what the tooth would actually be. It probably has some curve in it. A tooth doesn't really look like just a rectangle, but this is good enough for what I'm showing you right now. So let's go ahead and select Polar Array. We'll select that object and hit enter, and just like with the other polar array use when we did it with 2D, we're going to select a center. We can select the top or bottom of this. It doesn't really matter as long as we're selecting a center. And then we change the number of instances we want. I'll put it in 12. I want it to go all the way around, and I'll hit this check mark, close the array. There we go. I have something that really looks like a gear. So that is the polar array, except this time 3D.